Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We like science, don't we? Uh, when it runs against our ideas, or we like science all the time, because supposedly by scientific method we find the truth, or we get closer to the truth at least. So that's a way of understanding reality. So we should all like it, unless we like to lie ourselves. There are a lot of people, I would say majority of our society, who like to lie to themselves because they cannot face the truth, because sometimes it's hurtful and they don't want to be hurt. Who wants to be? But that's why if you find that something is hurtful, you try to alleviate that or eliminate the pain. That means effort. But some people don't want to put effort, so therefore they ignore it and they will bear the consequences. What do we have here? We have Ukraine, and we have a guy from Ukraine, a politician, an official, who claims that there are no Russian-speaking Ukrainians in Ukraine. Well, let's analyze this for a second. Russia Today, there are no Russian-speaking Ukrainians, Kiev says. The term was imposed by ideologues in Moscow seeking to weaken their neighbor, the language ombudsman claims. All right, he says there are no such thing as a Russian-speaking Ukrainian citizen. Kiev State Language Protection Commissioner Taras Kremin has declared in recent years the country has introduced a frenzy of measures to sever historical and cultural ties with Russia as it scrambles to strengthen the status of its own language despite accusations of prejudice against national minorities. So he said that in an interview aired by the Ukrainian branch of the US state-run Radio Free Europe / Radio Liberty, which is accurate, Kremlin rejected the suggestion that some Ukrainians could be called Russophobes, describing the term as a marker introduced by the Russian ideology. And I'm quoting, "We are all Ukrainian citizens." Correct. Ukrainian is the dominant language in all spheres of public life. Correct. Regardless of whether it is national communities or foreigners, everyone in the country must have a command of the Ukrainian language. Correct. Tell that to the European Union and see how far that gets you. Correct? Correct. Or to the Americans. Earlier, because they push garbage. He's right. But the problem is he's running against the institutions where supposedly they want to ascend, European Union and NATO and so on. They will not be allowed with this kind. Now they let them because they die for this guy's little interest. So they're allowed for now. Once they are going to go in, if the Russians allow them, then they're going to be smacked around and all these guys going to be fired on a dime, just like that. And immediately you're going to come and you're going to hear people saying, no, actually, there's no such a thing as Ukrainians. It's just people, human beings, Europeans. And Ukrainian, no, Ukrainian is one of the many languages in Ukraine. And diversity is our strength. And minorities have more rights than the majority. And all this garbage. Okay? Okay. I guarantee you that's the way it is. You don't believe me? Look what these guys did to each and every country in Europe. The Poles, who have balls, oppose that. They're smacked with sanctions, no money from Brussels. Hungary, the same way. Whomever dares to say that, they're pushed aside. No, you're not going to receive your dose of sugar, little dog. So let's move on. Earlier this year, Kremlin stated that Ukrainians who speak Russian should not be referred as Russian-speaking, claiming that the term had been used for decades by Russian propaganda to promote internal divisions in Ukraine, citing a 2021 Constitutional Court ruling. I mean, it doesn't mean that the Constitutional Court is right, but anyway, the Nazis had a lot of Constitutional Court rulings, and they were right? No. He also insisted there were only Ukrainian citizens who had been Russianized. Some of them were, but remember, a lot of Romanians and a lot of Hungarians were Ukrainized. No? Only the Russians did that? Okay. According to a March 2022 poll by the sociological group Rating, about 20% of Ukrainians consider Russian to be their native language. A social monitoring survey in 2021 suggested that more than 50% of Ukrainians were willing to read books and watch movies in Russian. Ukrainian authorities embarked on a campaign to push Russian out of all areas of life immediately. After the 2014 Western-backed Maidan coup, the measures sparked widespread public outrage and were among the key reasons behind the hostilities in Donbass. In 2018, the Ukrainian Constitutional Court overturned a 2012 law granting regional status to the Russian language, while at the same time Kiev adopted initiatives seeking to curb its use in education, mass media, business, and culture. So Russia has repeatedly denounced Ukraine. So my friends, it says here, on Monday, the speakers of the Ukrainian parliament, Ruslan Stefanchuk, went as far as to deny the existence of Russian ethnic minorities, arguing that they had no special rights. They shouldn't. The statement sparked outrage in Moscow, with Foreign Minister spokeswoman Maria Zakharova saying the remarks came from the Nazis of the 21st century, end quote. Well, we like science, so we know genetically you can make a difference between a Romanian and a Hungarian from Romanian and a Ukrainian. And I'm pretty sure you can find a difference between Ukrainians and Russians, unless you don't find a difference. That means they're the same people, and these guys are in deep doo-doo. So there is a genetic difference. You can make up. You can find that in the DNA. It's not me saying that. You can find that. Do your own tests in DNA and find out your ancestry. Very easy. Pay more, find more details, but you can find out the locations and so on. So nevertheless, let's move on. So that's garbage what these guys are saying, that there's no Russian-speaking population. No, that's Russians who speak Russian in Ukraine. They were and they will be, unless you are going to do what? Eradicate them? What are you going to do? Eradicate them? That's the next step, it seems like, the way these guys are going in that direction. Now, are the Ukrainians speaking Russian? They are. It means that they are Russian? No, they speak Russian. It's always good to be able to speak a foreign language, believe me, and science also say the same thing. Now, in Romania, I will give an example. In Romania has a large Hungarian minority. There's the Hungarians speak, Hungarian minority speaks Hungarian and Romanian. Some poorly Romanian, poorly Hungarian, depending on whatever. But there are Romanians who are Romanians, and they speak Hungarian as well as Romanian. Nothing wrong with that. It's not a Magyarization or Hungarization. It's an advantage. An advantage. It develops your brain. That's one thing, as a child at least. So to say that there's no, in Romania, like Romania will declare tomorrow, there's no Hungarian over there. There's no Hungarian speaking population. No, they're Hungarians. Oh, I'm speaking Hungarian. What are you talking about? But they were not there to say that because of the European Union and because of its idiotic statement. It's an idiotic statement. Like you would say, hey, there's no Romanian speaking population in America. Really? Genetically, I might be Romanian and who knows what, right? And I can speak Romanian, I can speak German, I can speak French. What am I? French-speaking population in USA? Not really, right? Not really. But you can say I'm a Romanian-speaking of U.S. citizenship, nationality. That's how they call it. These guys have a little bit difference because they have the country was created differently, so they have to keep a cohesion somehow. So even though I disagree with I'm Romanian American or I'm French American, I'm Indian American, I'm no African American, no, I am American. If you're not, get the fuck out. Well, I don't know, go somewhere else. I don't know where. No, you can't have that. I mean, you can say, well, my origin is, I'm all for that. You should not forget your origin, obviously, your family. But to claim, I am a, Romanian American, What does that mean? You're both or something? And at least I am an immigrant, so I can claim that, but I don't want. It's not fair. It's not just. It's not, how do you call it, fair. Let's put it this way. Where do you have your allegiances? But to be born here and say I'm an African American, I identify as an you can say it, but I think that's not good for the country. And by that, if tomorrow, a lot of people will say, well, we are European Americans and this is our part of the country and that's yours. What are you going to do about it? And besides, we have more power, so therefore we're going to take everything and going to be left with Atlantic Ocean. My friends, this is where these guys are going. So it's idiotic to say there's no speaking Russian population. There is speaking Russian and there is Russian speaking Russian in Ukraine. Unless you're going to exterminate them. Is that what you're going to do? You're going to take care of them? What are you going to do? And how did you get to have so many Russians on your territory? How did you get to have so many Romanians on your territory? Or Hungarians? I tell you how. Because you were a non-existent country until 1918. Oh, Emil, get your history straight. Well, find me where it says Ukraine as a country with a king or whatever. You will not. You are going to find a Kiev, this, Kiev, that, Tsaritsa, Turiba. Okay, I got that. Were they Ukrainians or they were Russians? Let's start with the term. What Ukraine means. At the edge, at the margin, at the edge, outside, at the border, outside, over there. That's Ukraina. That's what it means. It means, why doesn't mean center? It means the edge, periphery or something. Anyway, let's not, I don't say this to insult anybody. I'm just trying to make my point that is, shut up because you have a big boo-boo on your head and you point everybody else who has a little boo-boo on their butt, okay? That's what the point I'm making. Why do you think Poland wants territories from you? Gdansk and the other one, I can't remember the other one. Why do you think Hungary wants Transcarpathia or Zakarpattia? Why do you think Romania has Moldova, which is a fake country, with a lot of Bessarabia in your country, and Bukovina? Why do you think Russia wants Crimea and Donbass and all that? Why do you think all these countries surrounding you want territories full of their people? Because all those things were brought to you by Soviet Union. You're a creation of the Soviet Union. So, okay, we allow you to have your own country, but don't try to kick everybody out. You know what I mean? You are tolerated. Don't play the you are not existent when we actually should tolerate you as a country. I'm not promoting anything about Ukraine. I like Ukraine, I like Ukrainians, but these guys, they are with the biggest mouth when they should have it very small, very small. The first question, why do you have all these guys in your country? Because it was given to you, it was taken from everybody else by Stalin after the Second World War, and then by Khrushchev, I'm talking about Crimea, 1954. So what are you talking about, Ukraine? Anyway. Here is, my friends, there's no Russian speaking. And if you say there's no Russian speaking Ukrainians, another garbage. As I said, they're Romanians, Hungarian speaking Romanians. Romanians speak Hungarian. Some of us speak German from the family, for instance, or have family members who spoke German. I am from a German town. How was it a German town in the middle of Transylvania or middle of Romania in Transylvania? Through immigration. They allowed those guys, those Saxons, to come and at the border of the Carpathian Mountains. In what, 1100 or something like this. And as they formed their little villages, their little cities surrounded by walls. And then they tangled with whomever, the Hungarians, Romanians, whomever were around. But the main language in those towns was German, Latin and German. Anyway, this is it, my friends. There is no Russian-speaking Ukrainians. So what are you going to do with the ones that speak Russians? Are you going to take them and cleanse, ethnic cleansing in Ukraine? I foresee that happening. And the Americans are going to be like, now, come on, man, hurry up. And the Europeans will be like, shit, America, do something. We can't do because we are your pet dog, your lap dog. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.